Other interesting cultural news, you have Elon Musk noting that the birth rate is similar to that of the falling Roman Empire, which I was going to say, take a drink, because, yet another day where guys are talking about the fall of the Roman Empire. Not a good thing, I think, is partially because there's so many parallels to our modern society in the United States and what was the Roman Empire when they subsequently fell down all those years ago. Now, this is brought to us thanks to X Twitter. Specifically, it was from Elon's profile, and he is actually responding to a clip where someone took a highlight of him, and Elon says, "No humans, no humanity." And this is, his voice is infinitely better than mine, and like all true gentlemen, he did, of course, suit up, because you want to look your best, although he looks funny in the screenshot here, or the frame rate before I actually start playing. But without too much further ado, go ahead and play that.
In fact, one of the things that is overlooked by probably most historians is the role of low birth rate in the decline of civilizations. So around, I think it was around 50 BC, Rome passed a bill to give a bonus to any Roman citizen that would have a third child. So this was a birth rate was a problem in Rome in 50 BC. The Romans weren't making Romans. The same is true of ancient Greece. So there was a time from about 800 BC to 300-ish BC where the Greeks had a lot of kids and a lot of surviving kids. Like the birth rate far exceeded the death rate, which is why you had Greek cities popping up all over the Mediterranean. But then I think basically it seems to be that prosperity destroys the birth rate. So when a civilization feels like it has no meaningful external threat and is very prosperous, that is what causes the birth rate to plummet. Somewhat counterintuitively, you think, well, if you've got more resources, surely that would lead to more kids. In fact, it is the opposite. The more prosperous a civilization, and the more a civilization feels that it does not need to defend against external threats, the lower the birth rate.
I'd say
went viral to say the least.
In fact, one of the things that is
41.3 million views and 173,000 likes. Going down, one of the first comments comes from Q, and let's see now if she looks out. Let's see. Q? She is a radical feminist. Yeah, she looks like one. She said, so she's a regular, describes herself as a radical feminist, secular and progressive. Democracy is the best revenge. BLM, pro-choice, animal lover, INFP, and a bunch of emojis. Oddly enough, the American flag is included. She's from Massachusetts. And she says, quote, "Why don't you advocate for universal health care, paid maternity leave, at least 4 months, if you're so worried about declining birth rates? Maybe start with your own employees. Now that's what I would call humanity," unquote. No, that's communism and Marxist. You don't get free stuff for doing nothing, which a lot of Americans, I don't know how it doesn't get through their thick skulls. That never results in good things. And Tesla also gives their employees stock. They're some of the best paid, best compensated employees on the planet. I mean, you have people lining up to work at Tesla. It's a phenomenal place to work. I mean, their stock has done better than any automotive company I examined in my life. And again, it would be a lot better if you just don't tax 40% of everyone's paychecks on a federal level. It's amazing how little additional charities, additional support that you would need if the government just didn't steal half your paycheck. And I say that half your paycheck because some states in the United States take up to, I think California's up to 12.5% of your paycheck. So imagine, that's just income tax. That's before you have to think about things like property tax, sales tax, telecom tax, water tax, aka your utility taxes, you have your estate tax, capital gain tax. You see how they add up and they just never go away. Alcohol tax, tobacco tax, gasoline tax. If you didn't have any of that, imagine if you got to keep every penny you earned. You wouldn't need any of these other things. And also, the United States has some of the best healthcare innovations on the planet because they're mostly allowed to prosper and profit. Also, you have us bailing out other countries and subsidizing them by giving them products for basically free, which is morally vacuous as well, and mentally. Let's see. Yeah, Freya saying this is where we are, and it's a bunch of people glued to their smartphones and kids in the classroom. We got 359 likes. Let's see here. Scrolling down, see. Let's see here. Corey says simply telling people to have kids in a messed up world won't fix the low birth rate. Fixing the messed up world so that people would feel a purpose to bring kids will increase the birth rate. The top can't choke out the bottom and then demand more workers. Getting 157 likes. Which another contrarian statement, make life a little bit more interesting. Which can't choke out the bottom. That got 157 likes. Let's see. Yan says, has a picture, says, oh, so was it? Guy and girl sitting on the bench, and she goes, is it the end of the world? He goes, no, honey, it's the end of illusion. Getting 332 likes. Trump Army says the only a pro-life president can help save America and the world. Picture of Trump getting 642 likes, which, yeah, having record number of abortions certainly doesn't help the birth rate. In quite the antithesis, it actually decreases the birth rate exponentially. Let's see. Other Epoch Life, that's a new one for me. Says mother refuses to abort baby despite being born without hands. And the baby and the family look extremely happy. She decided to keep the kid. I got 204 likes. He looks cute too. Let's see here. Tesla car model says make babies not war, and it's a picture of Elon with one of his kids. I think he's up to 11 kids now. I mean, he's doing his best on a personal level to try to fix this issue. I got 371 likes. Trump will look great in orange. Hashtag resist says, quote, I believe it's the other way around. Decline in quality of life and society equals low birth rate. Equals low birth rate. I got 186 likes. Let's see here. We also have Robert Breedlove saying no sound money, no favorable conditions for human reproduction. It's a little infographic showing just how money is worth less and less. We got 160 likes. Here. Penny says old age sounds really awful with no family, getting 451. Stratos Dafianos says, or making stuff up about ancient Greece since I know nothing about it. The topic getting 319 likes. David Britton says, quote, more kids equals more money to pay for those extra 3, 4, 5 extra kids is draining financially, raising just one child, getting 501 like. Which again, just imagine, I mean, there was a time in the United States where the tax rate for income tax was, I believe when Abraham Lincoln first proposed it, was 2 to 3%. Now we lose 40% to the federal government. Again, that's just one line item on your expenses. That's just the income tax. Everything else is adding up. Let's see. Instruction Barbie says, quote, be a rebel, get married, and have kids, buy a home. Having a child changes you forever. First, you didn't know your heart could combust from an overwhelming love you feel. And second, you learn the world doesn't revolve around you. Instead, it revolves around this tiny little human. Getting 290 likes. See here. Another picture of Elon with one of his kids getting 84 likes. Picture of Trump says hated for exposing the truth. And Elon, it says hated for letting the truth be told, getting 58 likes. So it'll be interesting. I know other countries do have incentive mechanisms for having kids. In some cases it's worked, in some cases it hasn't. But yeah, the declining birth rate is definitely an issue. And culturally speaking, I mean, there's also a lot of push to not be oriented sexually in a way where you can have kids. There's a lot of push that, kind of a cliche. Even when I was a kid, they were always bashing people who have kids, saying it's not convenient, you won't be able to go out and have fun. I mean, culturally speaking, I mean, there's been an attack on having kids for decades, and I think it's finally starting to catch up with us, in addition to the other cliches of, financial issues, which, again, you find a way. And if anything, I know a lot of my friends who, once they had a kid, they almost worked twice as hard just because they knew they had to provide for the kids, be a responsible adult. But let me know in the comments, do you think culturally speaking it will be cool and hip to have kids again? I mean, it's been quite some time, but of course, as always, let me know in the comments. I would be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to help me out, giving me additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.